You're the Inquisitor. Mother never told me the Inquisitor was a mage.
If you can sense magic, don't ever become a Templar.
I can't. The lyrium gives me terrible nightmares.
Kieran, are you bothering the Inquisitor?
Of course not. Did you see what's on her hand, Mother?
I did see. 'Tis time to return to your studies, little man. My son. Never where you expect him to be, naturally.
I didn't know you had a son.
Why would you? I take great pains to not let my own reputation affect him in any way. To most in the Imperial Court, he's simply a quiet and well-spoken lad, perhaps the heir of some distant family. But he goes where I go. Worry not, Inquisitor. Kieran is a curious boy, but seldom troublesome.
Will his father be joining us as well?
I have raised Kieran on my own for quite some time now, as was my preference from the start. So 'tis but the two of us, Inquisitor. Your fortress is a large place, and you will scarce notice our presence.
He seems like a fine young man.
But not the sort one might expect a woman like me to raise. No son of mine would be raised in a marsh, bereft of contact with the outside world. His future will be difficult enough without my adding to his burden. To think, until recently this place stood decrepit, occupied only by the desperate and the lost. Now it is party to events that threaten to shake the world. I wonder if it is pleased.
It sounds like you've heard of Skyhold before.
This fortress was built upon the remains of a site holy to the ancient elves. They called it Tarar Salan, the place where the sky is kept. It is said that from here, they reached up to the heavens to bring them down to rest. They abandoned it, as did the humans who came after them. Bones laid upon bones, silent until your arrival.
We were lucky to have found it when we did.
Fate is often mistaken for luck, as Mother is fond of saying. The magic in this place has seeped into the stones, protecting it from darkness. Those who let it fall to ruin did not know what they possessed. You, I think, shall do it justice. You were kind to welcome my aid, Inquisitor, even knowing as little of me as you do. I will do my best to aid your cause with all the knowledge at my disposal. This I swear to you.
I appreciate whatever help you can give us.
Some might think Corypheus a madman for seeking godhood. Yet one must ask, what were the old gods? What secrets of theirs did the ancient magisters know? What I fear, what all should fear, is not that Corypheus believes he can succeed. 'Tis that he actually may. I understand you have spared the Grey Wardens from destroying what goodwill was left them. 'Tis good of you, considering the weakness Corypheus exploited was their own doing. Still, should a true archdemon one day arise, they will no doubt be needed. Or so they would have us believe.
I'd like to know more about you.
Ah yes, whence comes the mystery woman slinking her way into the Inquisition's ranks? Once I was an apostate, living well away from the banal influence of the Chantry in the Kakari Wilds. Then came the Fifth Blight with its darkspawn, and I left Ferelden for the Empress's court. 'Tis certain the nobles of Orlais breathe a collective sigh of relief that I am now here.
It's odd that an apostate could live so openly.
It confuses those who expect apostates to cower and hide. I stand boldly before them and demand to know why I need some Chantry mage to teach me to control my power. They would put me on a leash so they can feel safer at night. I am uninterested in their comfort. Naturally, it helps to have friends in high places.
The Orlesian court seems like an odd place to find someone like you.
That was the point, originally. I knew the Empress was intrigued by the arcane, and that I could answer questions no Chantry mage could. Thus we fit together nicely. I became her advisor, and she my benefactor and source of refuge. Truth be told, our arrangement would not have lasted much longer. Too many wagging tongues, even for Celine.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight.
The Blight began in the Kukari Wilds, so yes, I experienced it firsthand. Indeed, I fought at the hero of Ferelden's side for a time. She is the reason the Blight was defeated. I wish things had gone differently in the end. It had to be, yet. And after that, I came to Orlais. The last place one would look for me, or such was my hope.
Tell me more about your son.
He is a very special young man.
Special in what way?
In every way. At first, Kieran was a means to an end. But as he grew, I never thought of myself as a mother, Inquisitor. I had no good example to follow. I find myself becoming something I can barely recognize.
I'll leave you to the garden.
As you like. I imagine your forces will be heading into the Arbor Wilds very soon, Inquisitor. Trust me when I say that wherever the Alluvian is hidden, it is worth any effort to prevent Corypheus from acquiring it.
You seem to know a great deal about elven lore.
The Dalish are not the only ones interested in the distant past, Inquisitor. Indeed, my skills allow me access to places the Dalish dare not even dream of. The ancient elves hold secrets they have not yet given up. Secrets about the foundation of Thedas itself. Thus, they are my focus. Corypheus clearly feels the same.
Now that you've seen the Inquisition up close, what are your impressions?
'Tis remarkable what you have built. I will give you that. Soldiers are camped outside Skyhold in numbers that would give any nation pause. All this in precious little time, conjured from thin air through the power of fervor alone. I wonder if Corypheus suspected what he was enabling, just as I wonder what will become of all this once he is defeated.
I have no idea what will happen once all this is over.
Do you not? No doubt there will be countless men and women with suggestions. Beware the heights you reach, Inquisitor. When this is done, many will be eager to knock you back down.
I'll leave you to the garden.
As you like.
Inquisitor,
What is your evaluation of our supplies?
we are groaning with resources. A reflection of your competence and inspiration.
As you were.
Of course, Inquisitor.
My dear, I know you must have a great deal on your mind right now, but I need to speak with you. You know as well as I how far the Inquisition's influence has spread, and how desperate the Grand Clerics have become. Our opinion will be instrumental in their election of the new Divine.
I thought that might be coming after the Grand Ball.
The Inquisition may not be invited to their vote, but our actions will certainly influence the Grand Clerics. To sit on the Sunburst throne, a candidate should have grace, charm, and a will of solid steel. Cassandra may lack the first two, but unless you can think of someone better, she is the strongest choice.
What would your ideal divine do with her power?
The most important thing, of course, is the restoration of the Circles and the Templar Order. The institutions that have protected Thedas for ages must be rebuilt, and the malcontents utterly crushed. We cannot allow anarchists to threaten the lives of the innocent. After we have restored sanity to the world, there will be time to address voices of dissent.
Where can we find candidates outside of the Chantry? There must be someone other than Leliana or Cassandra.
The Chantry is already desperate. They would not look to unordained women if they had any choice. You may have better luck searching the halls of the Imperial Court. There are many women serving the Empire who have the necessary presence and acumen.
Leliana might be a better choice than Cassandra, don't you think?
Leliana is a well-meaning fool. She will do irreparable harm to countless people in the name of freedom. She proposes to abolish the circles with nothing but a solemn promise from mages not to murder children. When an angry mage lashes out inside a tower, villages aren't destroyed. The circle protects us all. Mages will die and take ordinary men with them in a war that cannot be won. Consider carefully, Inquisitor. Everything we do is a sign from the Maker to those who seek one.
So it's true. Some look to Cassandra or even me as Justinia's successor. I never thought the idea would gain momentum. Of course, with the other candidates out of the picture... Is becoming divine something you really want? When Justinia was alive, I would have laughed at anyone who even suggested that I could be her successor. Things have changed. Still, I don't know. Restoring the Chantry will be like trying to steer a sinking vessel through a storm. If the Chantry is a sinking ship, I say let her sink. The Chantry has not been kind to mages. I don't blame you for thinking as you do. You think Thedas hates mages now? If the Chantry falls, don't you think the people will blame magic? Look at all that's happened. Kirkwall's Chantry, the war, the breach. Mages are always involved. Without the Chantry to guide, that hatred will spiral out of control. It was the Chantry that taught people hate and fear. If the Chantry led them to this place, it can lead them out of it. The people are sheep, Inquisitor. They need to follow. But this is a discussion for later. If Corypheus wins, finding a new divine will be the least of our problems.
Inquisitor.
A message from Divine Justinia. That's a shock. You're right reading it. Thank you for the concern, Inquisitor. But I am. This message was written months, perhaps even years ago, to be delivered to me if she died. I've heard of such contingency plans. A sudden death often leaves loose ends. I'm to go to Valence, a small village on the waking sea. There is something hidden there. Why hide things in Valence? What's so special about it? Justinia was revered mother at the Chantry there for many years before she became the Divine. It is a place that holds great meaning for her. Do you know what you're looking for? The Divine was a powerful woman who used her position to obtain all sorts of things. Whatever she hid in Valence would very likely benefit the Inquisition and must be kept from falling into the wrong hands. If I'm lucky, she will have instructions for me. I'll help in whatever way I can. Wonderful. I was hoping you would agree to come with me to Valence. One more thing. If what is hidden in Valence is as valuable as I think, we're not going to be the only ones looking for it. I shall meet you at the Chantry in Valence. Try not to delay. It's just as I remember it. You didn't tell me you'd been here before. After the Blight ended, I came here to see Justinia. She was just Dorothea then, a revered mother.
It's peaceful here. You must have good memories of this place.
It was a place of comfort. It is good to see it still untouched by Corypheus.
Liliana, is that you?
Sister Natalie, what are you doing here? I thought you were in Val Rayo.
No, I've been here since Justinia died. This place makes me feel like she's still with us.
Inquisitor, this is Natalie, a trusted friend.
Wait, Inquisitor? You brought the Inquisitor here? My lady, forgive me for not recognizing you earlier.
I wish more people would fail to recognize me.
Oh, I see.
Natalie, listen. There is something hidden here. Something Justinia left for me.
Oh, really? What is it?
I don't know, but we'll find it. I'm curious to see what brought us all here. Justinia's letter came with instructions for me. They were a little cryptic. Always remember that faith sprung from a barren branch, that light has no fear of darkness. Above all, that strength lives in an open heart.
She must be hinting at something in here. Let's look around.
Do they still sing verses from the benedictions every Friday? That canticle was Justinia's favorite.
Yes, of course. We'd never give up the traditions of our most beloved divine.
That is lovely to hear. I stare up at the breach sometimes. It's terrifying, but beautiful in its way.
It is beautiful.
Have you seen it by sunrise?
When the sun rises through it, it splits into what looks like 1,000 suns, like a broken mirror.
Yes, spectacular, isn't it? You must be careful, Natalie. Justinia's enemies are making their move. Vine and the Sunburst throne. I was in the cloister in Lothering when the Blight began. There was a lot of fear back then. No one knew what was going to happen, whether we would live or die. And then one morning, I found a single bloom on a dead rose bush. And I thought, even in the midst of all this, life finds a way. The Maker hasn't abandoned us. An open heart. Well, that one's quite literal. And morbid. But Justinia always said that compassion was my greatest strength. Doubt is easy. It takes courage to trust.
What was that?
Looks like we opened something. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Good old Leliano was playing you the whole time. Didn't you realize?
They never sing the benedictions here on Fridays, Natalie. Something so simple. And you got it so wrong. I wanted to believe, but you were lying from the start. Keep that pretty mouth shut if you must, dear. You've already told me everything I need to know. The prickleweed burrs on your hem, talking about the sun rising through the breach. It all points to a single place. Morel in the Dales, Grand Cleric Victoire's bastion. She sent you, didn't she? Victoire was always an opportunist.
Who is this Grand Cleric? I've never heard of her.
An experienced cleric. She never agreed with Justinia, but kept her ideas to herself. I suppose now, with Justinia dead, she thought she could make her move.
I want to know what this Grand Cleric planned here.
She sent Natalie here to see what Justinia was hiding, no?
The Inquisition has turned Thedas away from the true Chantry. It must be stopped.
Stop us? You must be joking.
Mother Victoire is well loved by many. The Inquisition has more enemies than you know.
And Victoire thinks she can ally with them.
We don't have to be at odds, Natalie. You could come with us, join the Inquisition.
I was called to serve the Grand Cleric. I will not betray her. Kill me then. I am not afraid to die for my beliefs. At least I still know what I believe.
Release her, Leliana. She is no threat.
The Grand Cleric?
She is one woman. We are the Inquisition.
The Inquisitor has spoken. Run. Tell your mistress that she has a choice. The Inquisition is coming. No! This can't be it. There's nothing here.
Check again. Perhaps the box itself is a puzzle. She seemed the puzzling sort.
No, it's just an empty box. There's a message carved in the lid. The left hand should lay down her burden. She's releasing me. The Divine has a long reach, but it is always her left hand that stretches out. 1,000 lies, 1,000 deaths. Her commands, but my conscience that bore the consequences.
She apologized in the Fade. She said she failed you. This is what she meant.
All this time, Justinia carried the fear that she was using me. Just like I'd been used in the past. But Marjolaine's games were trifles. Justinia gambled with the fate of nations. She needed me. No one else could have done what I did. She knows that.
Then you have to let it go. Let her go. You don't owe her anything anymore.
If it were not for you, I would have killed Natalie and called it a good thing. Thank you for showing me what was right when I couldn't see it for myself. There are things that must be said, but not here. I will see you back at Skyhold.
Inquisitor? At your service.
Inquisitor.
To work?
A request has been made of you, Inquisitor. Here it is.
As you were.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Grand Cleric Victoire has offered the Ambassador support for the Inquisition.
Ah, Natalie is as persuasive as ever.
I'm told that Ambassador Montilier is pleased with the restraint you showed in Valence.
She's positively beside herself. I will never hear the end of it. Niceness before knives, Liliana. Haven't I always told you?
Will that be all, my lady?
For now.
How have you been feeling since Valence?
Good. Wonderful. Valence was something of a rebirth for me. If you hadn't been with me at Valence, I would have killed Natalie. I'd have told you that I didn't have a choice. But there is always a choice. I am more than this. I am more than what Justinia made me.
What does this mean for my Inquisition? Will you still be my spy master?
Of course. I would not give up my post. Not after everything we've built. I just know now that I shouldn't ignore my heart. Mercy is not always a weakness.
Do you resent Justinia for what she did?
How can I when there is so much between us? When she gave her life for peace? No, I believe her intentions were pure. Most intentions are.
You've exceeded her. She could never have imagined the power you now hold.
And now I will know how to use that power wisely. I have to stay true to who I really am, before a spy master left hand or barred. I almost lost myself. So Varric knew where the champion was all along. That's the last time we sent Cassandra to interrogate.
You seem to know a great many people.
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
What do you know of Morrigan?
She's changed. She used to be so disagreeable, cruel. She said things just to hurt people. Now the sharp edges have worn away. Perhaps it was Kieran. He seems so normal, like any other little boy. And so polite. Not that I was expecting anything else. I mean... never mind.
We can continue this conversation later.
You know where I am. Inquisitor? Inquisitor?
First, this wasn't my idea. It is an issue born of titles and heir apparency and... Halam Shiral is having difficulty freeing trade routes formerly controlled by Duchess Florian. Had she been tried, her assets would be forfeit and considerable bureaucracy avoided. So they ask that we judge her.
Are you serious? I did my part. She's dead.
That was the time allotted for rebuttal. Her crimes negated any claim to... Forgive me, there is an odor.
Strangely enough, something similar happened to an uncle of Emperor Leandra II. His trade routes were returned to the reigning monarch. Why don't we just follow suit?
A wise choice. Thank you for making it swiftly.
Your worship.
The new power you wield. I heard from Cassandra that it is the magic of the Knight Enchanters. If I am not mistaken, the techniques descend from those of ancient elven mages, called arcane warriors. I wonder what they would think to see their magic used in defense of the Chantry.
I doubt they were called arcane warriors in Elven.
The formal name for the techniques you have learned was the Durthena and Nassaline, knowledge that led to victory. Mages who eschewed physical confrontation called it Gilanim Banalvan, the path that leads astray.
What can you tell me about the arcane warriors?
They were elite guardsmen, serving as bodyguards or champions for nobles, as I understand. Mages who focused on spirits or the Fade might sneer at their physicality, but never doubted their honor. They were the living embodiment of will made manifest, mind shaping the body into the perfect weapon.
I hope the ancient elven warriors would be pleased to see their techniques survive.
I hope so as well. So much knowledge has been lost. Perhaps having something they created carried forward, even in such a different form, would gratify them. Did you need anything else?
I'd be interested in hearing your opinions on elven culture.
Perhaps you could ask Sarah. She has opinions.
You don't much care for Sarah, do you?
I pity her. Although I imagine she would detest that. Perhaps in truth, I envy her. She has a purity of purpose that I lack. I have observed too much and done too little. What do you wish to know?
I'd like to know more about the elves from before our time.
The Dalish strive to remember Hallam Sharal. But Hallam Sharal was merely a fumbling attempt to recreate a forgotten land.
Arlathan.
Elvanan was the Empire, and Arlathan its greatest city. Place of magic and beauty, lost to time.
You've studied ancient elves. What else do you know of Arlathan?
We hear stories of them living in trees, and imagine wooden ramps or Dalish Erebels. Imagine instead spires of crystal twining through the branches, palaces floating among the clouds. Imagine beings who lived forever, for whom magic was as natural as breathing. That is what was lost.
I'd like to know more about the Dalish elves.
It is a mistake to think of the Dalish as a single group. They have lived as separate clans for centuries now. As a consequence, each clan has learned, interpreted, and forgotten different parts of elven history. Some trade freely with humans, or adopt city elves who flee the alienages. Others attack humans on sight.
What can you tell me about elves living in human cities?
The culture in alienages or among the slaves of Tevinter is like any of the impoverished and powerless. They cling to memories of a better past, and practice a few rituals to distinguish themselves from humans.
I've heard tales that Dalish magic is different from the magic I learned in the Circle.
No and yes. Magic is magic, just as water is water, but it can be used in different ways. Dalish magic is more practical, not needing Chantry approval, although they still frown on blood magic. Superstition. Much of it is more subtle. A legacy from when elves were immortal.
The legends of elven immortality. Did they use magic to increase their lifespan?
No. It was simply part of being elven. The subtle beauty of their magic was the effect, not the cause of their nature. Some spells took years to cast. Echoes would linger for centuries, harmonizing with new magic in an unending symphony. It must have been beautiful.
You said that the censure against blood magic was a superstition.
I did. It's fortunate Cassandra is not within earshot. Most modern cultures forbid blood magic. Publicly, even Devinter disapproves of it. But as I said, magic is magic. It matters only in how it is used.
Every time I've seen blood magic used, it's been for some evil purpose.
I once saw a woman stabbed in the stomach with a dagger. She died slowly, in agony. It was repulsive. If the Chantry outlawed daggers, would that stop people from using them? Of course not. Some would use daggers in secret, shamed, and some would find rebellion titillating, step down the path of depravity.
So we should allow blood magic to be used freely. It works so well for the Imperium.
Tevinter's foundation stones are the bones of ancient elves with slave blood for the mortar. It is an example of nothing more than gilded savagery. Pitiable in a way. They always succeed through power, so they have never had the chance to learn another way.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Ryland's men will monitor the situation.
Yes, sir. We'll begin preparations at once.
In the meantime, we'll send soldiers to assist with the relief effort. That will be all.
Sir.
There's always something more, isn't there?
Wishing we were somewhere else?
I barely found time to get away before. This war won't last forever. When it started, I hadn't considered much beyond our survival. But things are different now.
What do you mean?
I find myself wondering what will happen after. When this is over, I won't want to move on. Not from you. But I don't know what you... That is, if you...
Cullen, do you need to ask?
I suppose not. I want... Leave me. Leave me.
Bad dream.
They always are. Without Lyrium, they're worse. I didn't mean to worry you.
Despite the dreams, is it still a good morning?
It's perfect. You are... Oh, I have never felt anything like this.
I love you. You know that, right?
I love you too. I'd be perfectly happy never again setting foot in the Winter Palace. It wasn't the gossip and backstabbing, I know what the game entails, but the indifference to it all.
At least there was dancing.
Or an attempt at it, anyway.
I thought you did well.
Well, I'm grateful for your poor taste in dance partners.
May I ask you something?
Always.
You've mentioned siblings. With everything that's happening, do you know if they're all right?
I've received word from my eldest sister. She was always good at tracking me down. South Reach has experienced the same chaos as everywhere else. My family is fine. Pray they remain so.
Your sister tracked you down. She didn't know where you were.
I let her know I was in Haven. She assumed I survived. It's not the first time. I may have neglected to tell her when I was transferred to Kirkwall.
Why?
I wasn't in a good state. I wanted only to leave. I received an angry letter about my disappearance 2 years later. For all her reprimands, it was a relief to hear from someone who knew me before the Blight.
That's all I wanted to know.
I'm sure you have other matters to attend.
Looks like he...
Good work out there, boss. Those blighted nugs won't infect anything now. Shade, thanks for joining in on that escort for Lady Montilier.
Whatever.
She's great, right? Training hard, Inquisitor. You have the best people, and we're gonna help.
Of course.
I suppose you're right.
There you are. I've been looking all over for you. You're just in time. We almost had to start without you.
What exactly were you starting without me now?
I found her, Ruffles. Deal her in.
I do hope I recall the rules. It's been ages since I've played a game of Wicked Grace.
Grab a seat. We're ready to start.
Are we playing cards or what?
Are 3 drakes better than a pair of swords? Ugh, I can never remember.
Seeker, remember how I said, don't show anyone your hand? That rule includes announcing it to the table.
There's a crown on his head, but a sword too. His head didn't want either.
Don't talk to the face cards, kid.
You seem to have enough people. I have 1,000 things to do.
Losing money can be both relaxing and habit-forming. Give it a try.
Curly, if any man in history ever needed a hobby, it's you.
Dealer starts. Oh, I believe I'll start at... Oh, 3 coppers. Do you think that's too daring? Maybe I'll make it 1. No. Boldness. 3 it is.
Seriously, who starts at 3 coppers? Silver or go home?
Sounds good. I'm in. Bolder the better, right? I'm in.
Me too. Well, are you in?
I'm in, and raising another silver.
You haven't even looked at your cards.
Our illustrious leader is betting we're bluffing.
You are bluffing.
The poor recruit ran out into the dining hall in nothing but his knickers. And this profound silence fell over the hall as 70 mages and 30 Templars all turned to stare at once. Then, a slow round of applause began and spread until every soul was on their feet. A standing ovation.
What did he do?
Saluted, turned on his heel, and marched out like he was in full armor.
He did not.
Good man.
You're shitting us.
That's how you know it's true. I could never put that in a book. Too unlikely.
I think it's our professional storyteller's turn to tell one.
I think I can manage that. Did I ever tell you about the time we broke into Chateau Hain? It started, as most capers do, with a trap. And then Hawk looks up and says, "Looks like the Duke has fallen from grace."
That's how Duke Prosper died? You know, that's almost perfect for him. And the dealer takes everything. I win again.
Deal again. I've figured out your tells, Lady Ambassador.
Commander, everyone knows a lady has no tells.
Then let's see if your good fortune lasts one more hand.
I'm not losing any more coin to Josephine, but I have got to see this.
Don't say a word, dwarf.
I tried to warn you, Curly.
Never bet against an Antivan, Commander.
I'm leaving. I don't want to witness our commander's walk of shame back to the barracks.
Well, I do.
It comes off. I didn't know it came off.
I'm glad you decided to join us tonight. It's too easy to mistake you for the Inquisitor.
I enjoyed this.
See? That's what I mean. It's easy to forget you're not just an icon or symbol. Like those statues of Andraste holding bowls of fire. At least it is for me. You up for another game when this is all over, Inquisitor?
I wouldn't miss it.
Good. It'll take me a while to talk Cullen into it. Maybe I'll work the revenge angle.
Who's that? Did I win?